Hello, and welcome to another demo of MySocket. Today we're going to talk about a new feature called private sockets. And the idea for private sockets is basically to hide your private resources. The idea is that you can give your socket any DNS name without making it available in the public DNS. So for example, if the DNS name for your resource is wiki.awesomecorp.com, it will be undiscoverable in the DNS because it doesn't exist in the public DNS. And in this demo, we'll talk about how that works. And also, even though it doesn't exist in the public DNS, how your clients, your internal users, can still access it. All right. So why does this feature exist? Well, there's a few reasons, but the two most common reasons why this feature has come to exist is more and more users have asked for, hey, we have all these internal resources, we'd like to make them public, or we want to make them available to our users as we move to a zero trust beyond corp type model, but we don't want to change our DNS, or at least not make it publicly available. And this is just one layer in their security posture, and they just don't want it to be publicly discoverable. So one way less in to get there. So that is why this exists. The other scenario is migration scenarios, where maybe wiki.awesomecorp exists and it points to 10.10.10.10 today, and that is the DNS record that is maybe even only accessible only in your internal domain names or your split DNS, and only visible when you're on the VPN or on the corporate network. But if you change the DNS, then your existing users can't use it anymore. And so it results into sort of this big bang type move where you really only want to start slowly. And that's another reason where private sockets can help. Okay, so enough talking. Let's just see what it takes to actually make this visible, or to configure your socket for private sockets. So we're in the portal here. I'm logged in with my account. We're going to work with this this beautifully named Young Butterfly socket. And what I'm going to do is, let's see, that's the latest one. Yeah, Young Butterfly. Let's go there. And what I'm going to do is enable private sockets. So we go here, edit. And there's only really two things you need to do. So here we'll set this to enable private socket. And the other thing you need to do is give it a custom DNS name. So in my case, I'm using wiki.awesomecorp.com. All the other stuff I'll leave the same. It was already a zero trust thing. It had gmail.com and atongue to gmail.com already. So we'll leave that as is. And now we've changed this public socket to a private socket. It's no longer visible in the DNS, and you could see that this nice name, the MySocket name, is now gone. It's now known as wiki.awesomecorp.com. The other thing we need to do is, since this domain name is not resolvable, and I'll demo that here. I'll just put it in my browser, and you can see how the browser says DNS probe NX domain, right? So the domain name doesn't exist. That also means that normally MySocket creates SSL certificates for you, and we use that using Let's Encrypt. But if the domain name is not publicly resolvable, that won't work. So in order to resolve that, we'll go here and we manually upload the TLS certificates. So I'll start here, so I'll copy paste this. So I'll have the public certificate here, and I'll also paste in the private key. And this is a public-private key pair that I created just for this this particular wiki.awesomecorp demo. So now we're all good, and we're done on the sort of administrator side of things. So it's pretty simple, right? Change your public socket into a private socket, enable this, change the name, and potentially upload a certificate. All right, so then the question is, as you saw, this failed. So how do your clients make this, access wiki.awesomecorp.com? There's a few things. So one of the things is you need to have, as a client, all your clients need to have MySocket, the MySocket client installed. And to do that, you need to go to download.edge.mysocket.io and basically click on your OS and follow the instructions. I already have it installed, so I don't need to do that. But what I do need to do is enable MySocket client as a service. And to do that, the instructions are in the wiki. We'll do this. And you need to do this as sudo, since it needs to run as a background service, and it actually will change or modify some of your DNS settings so that we can intercept these DNS requests and basically make sure that these domains exist on your system. Okay, so now that it's running as a service, that was it. That was pretty simple. This service will constantly communicate with the MySocket APIs and make sure that these private domain names become accessible to the user, in this case, my laptop and me. But before it can do that, it needs to know who I am. I will need to authenticate. So to do that, just like maybe you do with your traditional VPN client, I need to authenticate. And we'll do that using MySocket CTL client login and then the organization. So that succeeded. You didn't see that, but in a different browser, authentication popped on. I authenticated, and it says, hey, you are authenticated. Great. And so now you can see I am authenticated as atunk@gmail.com. And now this service will use a token that was the result of this authentication, and it will make sure DNS will work. So with that, I think we did everything we needed to do. So if I now go back here and go to https://wiki.awesomecorp.com, and all of a sudden it resolves, right? Like all of a sudden that works. So now let me just log in as well, because I still have to authenticate. It went to Gmail, but that was already cached, so that's good. And now I have access to wiki.awesomecorp.com. You can see it has a certificate that I uploaded, and the name now resolves. So in summary, we looked at how we created or changed an existing socket to a private socket. Using the portal, we uploaded the TLS certificate. We saw that. We saw on the client side, we installed it as a service. That was really one-liner. And then just need to log in as a client and authenticate. After that, the private domain names of the private sockets are now all of a sudden accessible to my user, assuming I have access to it. And I was able to magically get wiki.awesomecorp in my browser. So that's it. I think one of the other things to call out is that we are, up until recently, we're very focused on clientless, making things work on any device, anytime, anywhere, and be really lightweight. But as we go to a little bit more advanced use cases, you do need a client, similar as you might be used to maybe your VPN client right now. And this is sort of our first foray into that. I can see now that we are going into that direction, we can do more things like that as well. We can do more posture assessment type stuff, integrate with existing posture assessment companies or services, VPN meshes, things like that. So with that, this is the end of the demo. I hope you like this. Hope you find this interesting. If you have any questions or feedback, just send me an email or leave a comment. Thank you very much. Have a great day.